There you are.
Okay, there we are.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm alive. I'm here. How are you?
I'm mostly cold and not wet right now, at least, but so that's good. It's
Yeah,
colder
I
than
hear
hell
that.
over here on the coast, that's for sure, right now.
I got you.
But
Yeah, it's uh low 60s here in Fresno,
oh, that'd be
but it's
nice,
kind of gray out, so
right?
it's not too bad. We're not
That's
raining or anything.
yeah, that's good. It's wetter
Yeah,
than hell here today, and I've been working on a car outside, so it's been a pain in the butt.
gotcha.
So you play in a band?
Yeah, I've been excuse me. I've been singing since I was 3 years old and I'm 50. And
Okay,
I've actually been doing that professionally, but currently, yeah, I'm head of my own cover band that I put together.
that's cool.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to head into our fourth year together, actually.
Right on. What kind of music are you doing exactly?
We do a lot of different types of like classic rock, classic
Right on.
metal, and we
Okay,
kind of
cool.
hit some of the subgenres there. We do some blues rock,
Right
some
on.
progressive,
That's
little
cool.
bit of country rock, a little bit of uh, we do one or two psychedelics, one or two folk songs, that kind of thing. But hard rock and classic metal is kind of where we like to stick.
Right on. That's cool. That's cool. That's my genre. That's for sure. The '80s were the
Nice.
best for rock, the for sure.
There you go.
What do you play? Do you play an instrument? You
I'm lead vocals and I also play keyboard.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. Right on. Right on. Right on. And let's
Yeah.
see. Let's see. We have a mutual friend, Kim, who could not be here today, but you're her
Right.
right hand man, according to her, uh, for her page
Well, I'm
and
not sure.
stuff.
I'm not sure about that, but I know that she does. She does have me usually take over administrative duties of the Rockstar Lifestyle pages when
Cool.
she is unavailable or out of town or
Right
whatever.
on. Right on.
She and I met roughly about a year ago, and she was just putting the website and everything together at that time. She and I bonded over our mutual love of music, found out
Cool.
that we have a lot of bands in common that we like,
Right on.
and then we started communicating outside of that, and it became kind of a fast friendship. She's up there in Oregon, and I'm down here in
Right.
California, so
Right.
but yeah, we keep in touch. We communicate almost daily,
Right on.
really. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm kind of the same way with her. She became my friend out there, and I asked her if I could post some things, and she said I could
Hmm.
for the podcast and stuff. And then she puts those little questions out every morning that now I'm used to them. I look for them now. Her
Oh yeah.
what did you learn today? Things, and it keeps me mindful of other things. In life
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
But she seems like a hell of a nice gal. That's for sure.
Oh, she's a
I can't
gem.
wait to meet her. That's for sure. She's been big help to me so far. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Sweetheart of a lady.
Kim's good people.
She
And
is.
good people are rare these days.
Yeah, it is very rare these days.
Right?
Unfortunately. But
Oh yeah.
so let's see. You were so how did I remember you telling me you came into music. Your mom was a singer,
Hmm.
correct? That's how you kind of
Yeah.
came into
Mom.
music.
Yeah. Mom actually was the top Dolly Parton lookalike entertainer in the world for about 15 years.
That's pretty cool.
She was also kind of a pioneer in the tribute show
Hmm.
area. She was one of the very first, if not the first, to have a tribute show to A, somebody that's living,
Right.
and B, somebody other than Elvis or the Beatles.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, that's how I actually got started, was on stage with her, you know, 3 and 4 years old.
Right on.
While other kids were learning their basic colors and alphabet and all that stuff, I was learning old Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner duets.
That's cool. There's nothing wrong with those
So
tunes.
yeah, and
That's
then
for sure.
yeah, and I'd do like you know uh like 25 minute bits in her show
Wow.
where it was just me. We would sing together, we'd do a few duets, and then she would actually have me sing some stuff on my own to kind of give her a little bit of a break.
Sure, sure,
And
sure.
yeah, so
That's
I
pretty
learned a
cool.
whole bunch of the old country stars back then, a lot of Willie Nelson, a
Mhm.
lot of Johnny Cash,
Right,
stuff that's kind of easier for a young brain like that to
right,
soak up. And
right.
my signature song was "Take This Job and Shove It" by Johnny Paycheck.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, because apparently a bunch of drunken hillbillies and rednecks back in Virginia, absolutely loved it when they saw this little 3 and 4 year old boy, hobbling around sometimes in a leg cast,
Right,
singing stuff like that on stage. It never
right.
failed to take the house down.
Right on, right on,
It was, yeah, it was really cool.
right on.
I got to meet a lot of people from a very interesting age.
Oh, I
So,
bet, I bet, I bet. That's awesome.
oh yeah.
So how did you get into rock and roll? How that's
Well, well, like I said, I was introduced into country first, around the age of 3,
right.
and then I actually got introduced to rock and roll around the age of 5.
Mhm.
I had an uncle that, heaven rest him now. He was dating somebody. They were together for a long time, and the first rock band that I consciously remember hearing was Chicago,
Okay,
because she was a real big fan of it. So,
right on.
kind of a different take. And then I got introduced to other acts by, through different people. There was a babysitter that I had that was really into Meatloaf,
Right on.
and I just started getting exposed to a lot of different things, because when you're the child of an entertainer, you move around quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah,
So
for sure, for sure.
uh, yeah, because I'm originally from Virginia, but I've lived in almost 1/5 of the U.S. throughout my
Right,
life.
right
So
on.
I got exposed to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different things growing up. And, some of the music that I've heard, you can talk about it in one place and people are like, yeah, I know who that was. But
Right, right.
you come out here to like California and they're like, that was
Yeah,
in, because they've
yeah,
never heard that kind of thing.
exactly.
So I got exposed to a lot of different types of music.
Right on.
Got into rock when I was around 5, like I said. Got exposed to Broadway and opera when I was in high school,
Right on.
and that because of a performance show choir that I was in. And then as an adult, I got into blues. I um, got into jazz. Got into, I was kind of late to the metal scene, but I got into classic metal.
Right.
Started getting into prog rock, alternative rock.
Hmm.
Um, I was in a salsa band for like 2.5 years.
Right on.
And so, I mean, literally, when I
Do a
say
little
I've
bit of
sang just
everything.
about, oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
When I say I've sang just about everything in the known civilized Western world, I mean, that's not like a flex or anything.
Right.
That's just what my experience has been.
Right. Totally. Totally. No, that's cool.
So,
My thing
yeah,
right now is honky tonk heavy metal, and it's
honky tonk heavy metal.
oh,
Okay,
it's actually really good stuff. I just talked to Adam Jode from Scattered Hamlet is the band, and
okay,
they're from Appalachia. He's the Appalachian Apostle. They call
ah,
him, but
interesting.
it's definitely metal, but it's definitely there's some country twang to it too, and I
Okay,
don't know, it's my new favorite, that's for sure. There's a couple others. There's a band called Allborn. They're kind of that heavy metal honky tonk stuff, but he plays a banjo in it, and it's wild, just some different
nice.
things that I haven't heard before together,
You,
and they sound actually really good together. But
have you ever heard of a style called cowpunk?
cowpunk, no, I have not. I think I've seen something
Um,
said about it on Facebook somewhere a time or two. I recognize it as something I've seen before, but I don't know what it is.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting mix of like punk and country music. If you ever want to check it out, I recommend you look up a group called Jason and the Scorchers. I
Jason.
rediscovered them a few years ago, and some of their stuff is really it's kind of similar to what you're talking about,
Uh,
except instead of the metal hit, it's more of a punk flavor to it.
okay.
And
Okay.
you wouldn't think it would
That
work,
sounds
but
kind of
actually
cool,
it
though.
does.
Country works with everything so far. I've seen, pop music world it's
Hmm.
kind of diluted itself, unfortunately. Because my uncle
That's
Will had the largest country western collection anybody's ever seen, all in records, And I remember when he went from records, he recorded everything onto tape so he could put it in his truck. And that was a ridiculous adventure, doing that. I
oh,
know, but I like that old stuff, that the twangy honky tonk stuff, from the '60s,
hmm
George Jones and all that stuff. I love
oh, oh
those
yeah,
guys.
yeah. It's weird as a kid being raised around it. I got burned out on country really
Right,
fast.
right,
And it took me decades, literally decades, to where I could listen to it again without feeling
right,
my scalp crawling.
right.
And now,
That's what I
you
get
know,
with the best of Bread when I hear the band Bread, because my mom played that for like
yeah,
3 years straight on 8 track, and I like developed a tick up with it. Every time I hear it, it's just like I can't stand it. So I get what you're
oh
saying.
yeah, yeah. I forget which relative I used to have that had that particular album. It was the best of bread, with the
Oh yeah.
beige,
Oh yeah.
looked like beige and sepia, like somebody tried to burn their image onto
Yeah.
like a piece of wood or something.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, who in the hell? The only thing I could think of, and I had heard them, they had to have been the most beige band that was out there
They were the mellowest
because,
rock band ever. Their amps only went up to one, I think, on them.
yeah,
Their stuff.
well, and that they got all of their clothing out of the Sears catalog
Oh
from
yeah.
like 1973
Yeah. Yeah.
because everything had
Exactly.
that huge like paisley and flower
I
print.
know.
That in order to get that kind of a trip now, I would have to take probably about 20 laxatives and then sit in the back room with a lava lamp going. And I wouldn't even have to smoke any weed or anything
No, you
because
wouldn't.
which I don't anyway, because my upstairs neighbors smoke it apparently on a daily basis because it comes through the
Oh yeah,
vents
you're
in our
probably
in my
developing a
apartment. And so
contact high.
I'm constantly getting a secondhand high, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if I ever design myself to ever listen to Pink Floyd, I guess I'm set.
Right.
So yeah, but
But yeah,
I don't know. Maybe if I broke open a glow stick and swallowed that, and I had to go pee or something, maybe that'd be an
maybe
equivalent.
if
I
you
don't
got
know.
in on the Tide Pod thing or something.
Oh hell no! I have too. I'm sorry. I have too many brain cells for
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah,
know. Totally.
that makes you wonder where people come up with a lot of this
I
crap,
know.
doesn't it?
I know. I don't get it. I don't get it myself.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah,
Most.
kids today they're eating Tide Pods and snorting condoms, and I'm
I know.
I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I mean, the worst that we had was, we were able to get away with a lot of crank calls back in the day because they
Right.
didn't have
Yeah,
caller
that was
ID.
kind of fun. I remember
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that.
Especially because you could always find that one business owner that would fall for it almost every single time, and
Every
then they'd
single
get mad
time.
at you, but they could never figure out who you were.
I know.
I mean, we were the Simpsons before the
Oh
Simpsons,
yeah,
so.
for sure, for sure. Those were the good old
Oh
days.
man.
So, what 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 are some of your favorite concerts you've been to? Been to any concerts?
Oh man, well, yeah, there are a lot of them that well, maybe not a lot, but a fair number I've been to. I would say if I had to pick my Mount Rushmore, I would say probably the first concert that I went to that I wasn't actually part of,
Hmm.
which was just before I graduated in 1993. I went and saw Traffic
Oh wow!
uh, on their Far From Home tour, which was the first tour after Chris Wood died,
Right, right.
and
That would have
they
been cool to
actually
see.
still had it. I had ended up buying that particular album. Unfortunately, could not get to Steve Winwood to sign it, but I got to see him, and even without Chris Wood, they
He's
were
amazing. That
phenomenal.
guy's amazing.
Oh
He's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, definitely.
Crazy amazing.
Um, I would say the AC/DC Ballbreaker tour when I was living in Sacramento.
That would have been a
A
good
buddy of
one.
mine had tickets, and his boss was being a complete ass to him and said he had to go in, and he was pissed because he had won the tickets
Mm-hmm.
and then got them, but then had to give them away. So he calls me up and he's like, "Yeah, my boss won't let me go. So, I don't want these tickets to go to waste." So I'm like, "I'll take them."
Oh yeah.
And it was cool because uh, opening for him of all things, they had Beavis and Butthead up on this
No
projector, right?
shit.
And they're talking about
That's
they're sitting
awesome.
there doing their thing, like, "Hey, Beavis, check out all these people. We're gonna score." And then you see this animated dominatrix walk past, and he's like, "Oh, Butthead, check it out! I'm gonna score with that chick." She goes into a door, and they're like trying to open it. It's like stuck or something. No, score. You see the door open, and Angus Young's looking at him.
You
He's
do
like,
good voices. You do
like,
good
I need to
voices.
score. And then Angus turns into that little demon head that
Oh
comes
yeah.
up, and it scares the two of them off. And just before the projection comes up, the last thing you see is Angus looking at him, and then he looks at the audience and he's like, and then the projection screen goes up, and you have this model of some like buildings and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Angus and Malcolm hit their stuff. You got Chris Slade on the drums at the time, and
Right.
then Brian Johnson actually swings out on a wrecking ball kind of thing that lowers him onto the
Wow.
stage,
That's cool.
and proceeded to knock down the things that they had in the back, and it was a hell of a concert.
Oh, I bet.
You
I
know,
bet.
they made sure to get the most requested favorites that everybody did, and they even did a couple that were kind of off the wall.
Really?
One of which um, I was always a big fan of because I'm a Bon Scott guy.
Right.
I know most
Totally.
people love Brian Johnson,
I
but
love Bon
I,
Scott.
was- I,
You
I
know,
was always Bon Scott.
yeah.
And to hear Brian Johnson do the Jack,
Oh, I
that had
bet.
to that had to have been one of the weirdest experiences I'd ever had.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm used to smooth voice
Right.
and the swagger,
Right.
and then to hear somebody that sounds like they've swallowed a half a dozen rasp files trying to do
Right.
it,
Right.
and I'm like, Brian, okay, you're good, but don't do that one again.
Right. Right.
I don't know if it was just an off night or if it was just my expectation, but
Right. Right.
um, the third concert I would say uh probably the probably the first time I saw Anvil in concert.
Hmm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that Anvil is such
They're
an,
important.
an,
They're
an
important in it. Oh,
underrated band.
they are. They are very underrated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care how drunk you get. I don't care how good you're feeling. You have not lived until you have seen somebody break out a vibrator and use it to play a guitar.
Yeah.
It just,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that Anvil was like three steps ahead of their time.
They were. They were.
And the one thing that kept them back, honestly, was some of the stuff that they did, like, Steve Kudlow breaking out a dildo or a vibrator and playing the guitar with it. But when you hear it, when you see him actually do it and you hear the sound,
Right.
all of a sudden it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell didn't somebody come up with this sooner? And now that they're finally starting to get some of the respect that they're due,
Right.
because they're recognized, I think, as the architects of thrash metal.
Right.
They
Right.
were like if not the first, some of the very first.
Right. Right.
And a lot of people didn't realize what their story was until
That
the
documentary.
documentary movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I sat down and I watched it, and if there isn't a musician out there somewhere that can't relate to at least one part of that movie, then I'm convinced that they're either fake or
Right.
they got their break by some sort of weird fortune. It means money or drugs,
Right.
whatever it was.
Right. Right.
Uh, and then the last one I would say is probably the last time I saw the Tubes in concert, which is
See,
the Tubes are
the Tubes are awesome. I love the
yeah, they're
Tubes.
my
I know
favorite
what you're
band of all
talking about.
time.
Those guys are awesome.
Oh yeah, and actually, I've got to see them three times in concert, twice on their own, and then the last time I saw them was part of Rewind Fest up in Sacramento, where they were playing with they played with the Church, Annabella Lewin from Bow
Oh,
Wow Wow,
wow,
Flock of Seagulls,
that'd be
which is
cool.
who I got to see when I first got there,
That's the
and
band my
they
stepdad said he couldn't stand listening to him. You ever get a haircut like
oh
that?
okay.
I'm kicking your ass.
Oh man. Yeah, they definitely had something different. Of course, now if your dad were to see him now,
Yeah,
Mike Score has no hair
right.
whatsoever. So
None,
it's like,
none
hey,
exactly.
you know, and then that show that particular festival rounded out with the Psychedelic Furs.
Oh, see that
So now that was
that's
a
an
band
'80s
that
wet dream right there.
right, but yeah, a couple of those bands back in the day, I'd heard their stuff, but I couldn't quite get into them. But then as an adult, I re-listened to it, and I'm like, okay, I can get in with this now. It's the
Right,
same, it's the right era, it's the right
right.
this, the right that. So
I totally get
and
what you're saying there. I get it.
yeah,
I'm the same
and
way,
that
man. A lot
actually
of it I couldn't stand. Like I like rap now. I like some rap. I like some all
okay.
sorts of other genres, except for like smooth jazz, like real soft, mellow jazz. It just I don't know. It
Yeah,
irritates me.
Kenny G, we can get rid of
Yeah,
his
I
ass.
can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I because of the all the moving around I did as a kid,
Mhm.
and because of all the things that I was exposed to. I mean, I listen to everything from classical, rock, country, jazz, Zydeco,
Mhm.
because I lived in Louisiana for a little bit.
Right.
I can do some rap. Most modern rap I can't get into. I haven't really been able to do it ever since
Right.
like Cop Killer and stuff came out.
Right. Right.
When it started getting that way, I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
that's
do it.
not my thing either. I like how they
No,
get
I
put stuff together, how they sample stuff and put it together. I like
mhm.
that's really what I'm a fan of more is how they put the
Oh
stuff
yeah.
together. Because it's interesting, very
Yeah.
interesting. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the behind the scenes stuff, kind of the Wizard of Oz type stuff
Yep.
where they go through and they figure out what they're going to sample and how
Right.
they mix it in and things like that.
Right. Right.
To which I think a lot of that can be owed to Michael Jackson of all people because of how
Right.
instrumental he was back doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
if you
yeah.
want to take it even a step further back, you would go to Peter Gabriel because
Right.
he's considered a pioneer of using samples and things, but his was
Right.
more sounds rather than music
Right.
cuts.
Right. Right.
But both Michael Jackson and Peter Gabriel, I think a lot of the rap industry actually kind of owes something to them
Right.
because they pioneered a lot
They're
of
the
the techniques
godfathers
that are
of it.
used
Yeah.
now.
Exactly. They pioneered it. Exactly.
And one person that a lot of people don't realize was actually considered the first rapper left field, and I found this out when I was in middle school, was Muhammad Ali.
I can
He
see that.
technic he
I can see
technically
that totally.
released he actually technically released the first rap album back in like the 60s, I think it was, called
Wow.
I Am the Greatest. And I learned about that because I used to listen to Dr. Demento when he was on the air every
Right.
Sunday evening. And when he played Muhammad Ali's I Am the Greatest, you know, it actually made some sense. I'm like, okay, well,
Right on.
that would be another reason why people would consider him, the GOAT, is because he was very entertaining on the
Oh
outside
yeah.
too.
Oh
So,
yeah. Definitely.
but
Definitely.
yeah, he was very multi-talented. I'm sorry though, I cannot say he is the greatest because even he was beaten. There's only been one boxer that was ever undefeated, and most people just don't want to give the guy credit.
No, they don't.
But that's Rocky
Yep.
Marciano, the
Marciano.
original Italian stallion.
Yep. For sure. For
And
sure.
being an Italian American, I kind of have to go there.
Right.
So,
Right. I have a
but anyway,
cousin. I have a cousin from lives in South Carolina. He was. I guess he was like a couple fights off of a championship fight. He was a light heavyweight.
okay.
Shane Benfield was his name. Shane the Hitman Benfield.
I think I've actually heard that name
Yeah,
before.
he was pretty good. He you could see in the ring he had these big old sideburns, chops, and stuff sticking out.
Okay.
And he would talk a lot of shit. I think in there a little bit. His mouth was going all the time, and he would,
Oh,
he
okay.
he
He
was
was the guy
good.
that in his off time would sing with Mungo Jerry, right? With the big old things on there,
Maybe,
the mutton
maybe,
chops.
maybe.
That's cool.
But no, he's a pretty cool cat. But he had like he retired and he coaches youth sports in the county he lives in, the city he lives in, and gives a lot
That's
to
cool.
that, which is cool, definitely. So what are the
Yeah.
bands that you're listening to now? What new stuff out there that do you like?
Oh man.
And basically,
I'm
all
glad
I'm
that
doing is getting notes so I can write these people and get them on the show.
sure. Some of the bands I'm listening to now, and this is actually where I have to give some credit to my bandmates
Hmm.
because even though I'm the baby in the group, so you would think I would know the newer stuff. Um, my drummer Warren actually introduced me to a band called Dirty Honey.
Dirty Honey, those
Yeah.
guys, they're
Yeah,
great.
Dirty. Oh yeah, Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
Came out in the 2010s, and one of the songs that we cover by them is Rolling Sevens. That was
Okay.
actually my introduction to them.
Right on.
You listen to Rolling Sevens, and it's got that 80s mix of like Southern rock and
Right.
blues, but it's punchy enough that it just works.
Right. Right.
And I started listening to them, and then I was introduced to a group out of Australia called Airborne,
Airborne.
and we cover one of their songs. We cover "Runnin' Wild," which is not to be confused with the Judas Priest song of the same name,
Right.
but still has that fringe. It's a hard rock, like fringe classic metal sound,
Mm-hmm.
but they came out in I think the 2000s, maybe 2010, somewhere in
Right
there.
on.
But I understand that they're still running pretty good, pretty popular down in Australia. So I started listening to some of their stuff, and it actually sometimes it takes a while to bring me into things, simply because I listen to a lot of the music that's out there now, and I just kind of grimace at it.
Some of
I'll
it's like
listen
that.
to it's like, okay, for example, I know this is a band that everybody is hailing as the new messiahs of rock and roll or whatever, but Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, I
I've listened to
agree.
them and they just
Have
maybe
you
it's
seen him
because they're
live? Have you seen him live?
no, I haven't actually.
I I saw they had these shows called Too Broke to Rock up in Spokane. I used to live in Sandpoint, Idaho, up there, and I'd go to Spokane all the time. Me and my ex would see a show about once a month, damn near down there. And
Okay.
I saw them there at these one of these Too Broke to Rock shows, and they were good. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say they aren't bad because they are. They're good. But he came out wearing a dress type thing that was really odd. It was just it took away from everything else. It just but they had
Yeah.
Glorious Sons open for him that show too, and they were really good though. Too. Glorious Sons,
Okay.
they sing that Shotgun song. Um, got hooked on OxyContin, bought a shotgun, and
Okay.
yeah,
Well, um, a lot of what's new to me is stuff that is either being rediscovered or revived. Like for example, um, I learned about the singer Graham Bonnet
mm,
through when his time in Alcatraz.
right.
And when I found out that Alcatraz was releasing their first new album in like almost 40 years,
Wow.
I thought to myself, I better start checking this stuff out. And their album Born Innocent was the one that I actually kind of came in on, and then I worked my way backwards,
Who else was in
listening.
that band?
Well, actually, that Alcatraz, in addition to Graham Bonnet, produced not one but two metal guitar legends.
Right.
Yngwie
Ingve?
Malmsteen was
Yep, Ingve.
their first big hitter. He was there for like the first couple of albums, and then when he left, Steve Vai filled in for one
Steve, that's
album.
right. That's right.
And when Born Innocent was being recorded, Steve Vai came back and contributed on some of the tracks.
Right on.
Now they've got Joe Stump and of course Gary Shea and Jimmy Waldo are still with the band, and they ended up actually firing Graham
Really?
out of his own band.
Wow.
And they ended up for a while. Doogie White was with them,
Mm-hmm.
who is, Graham and Doogie are the only ones that have sang with both Rainbow and
Ah,
Michael Schenker, I
okay.
think.
Okay.
But and then Doogie left after an album or two, and now they've got a new guy in on their newest tour.
Right on.
I haven't had a chance to hear him yet, but to me, it's never going to be the same without Graham. I mean, I'm
Right.
sorry.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
then last year, I actually got to see Graham in concert with a buddy of mine. And
Hmm.
not only did I get to see him, but I got to meet him
Oh, wow. That's
afterward.
cool. That's cool.
And Graham is so chill. What amazes me is the dude's like 78 now,
Right.
77, 78, somewhere in there. And he still sounds like he's in his early 30s.
Right. Right.
He's still got the volume, he's still got
Yeah.
the punch, still got the range. I mean, if
Mhm.
I could sound like that, if I could be half as good at if I reach that
Yeah.
age, I'll be happy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of.
So,
I've been on this honky tonk heavy metal kick for about a month now. And that's
okay.
mostly been finding these people from the south. For some reason. But I found this one kid. His name's Bo Hudson, and he's 16 years old, endorsed by Dean Guitars. Which,
Cool.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I said when I saw it. But he was playing Sweet Home Alabama as if Van Halen wrote it. And I was like, I blinked my eyes and I go, I
Interesting.
swear, Eddie could have been there right then and there, playing it right there.
Huh.
Really cool kid, really cool kid. But
I'll have to look that up.
look him up he's called the Berserker on Instagram is his
Okay.
on, but he's this kid and he shreds. He's amazing, really cool.
Nice.
But
Nice. We got to Yeah, it's always encouraging to hear about the new generation picking up the mantle and learning from
right,
like our time period
right,
because it let's face it, we owe something to each generation that came before us because
right,
without that we wouldn't be where we are now,
right, exactly,
you know.
exactly.
But okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay,
This is something that I know has been coming up over the last year or two.
okay.
Um, and I'm kind of curious as to what you think about it. What are your thoughts about uh, artificial intelligence being introduced into things, including music?
I've been talking to a few of my buddies about it, and I got one buddy he bought this program. I can't remember what it's called specifically, but he bought it, and he's doing it to teach himself. But
Okay.
he might also be just robbing the AI is what he's doing and profiting off
Right.
of it. But which I don't know how it's a fine line with everything in this world. And I know there's a
Oh yeah,
fine line with this, but it should be known if it's AI or not. Literally, if
I
we're,
agree.
it should be known because it doesn't mean I ain't gonna not buy it. If it's good, I'll play it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll have AI as a guest on my show one day. I'm sure. You know what I mean. But if
Yeah.
it's good, listen to it because that's kind of what my mission in life has been. I noticed I've always found good music, and I've always turned my friends on to that good music.
Nice.
And I don't know if that's a job or if it's whatever. It just that's what I do. That's what I've always done. It's been into music. I wish I could sing on a stage and be a rock star. I really because that's what I wanted to do. You know, but
Yeah. Not a
this
lot.
is
Not a lot of kids wake up and say, I just don't want to be a rock star. I think
right.
I'd rather be an accountant.
Right, exactly,
I don't know of
exactly.
anybody who ever did that.
Not me, that's for sure. Because I
Yeah.
know I've spent most of my money on sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In this lifetime,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. Um, I agree with you that it's a fine line because speaking, as somebody who literally grew up
Hmm.
in the music industry, and I've seen all sorts of things.
Hmm.
Um, I think AI is good if you are wanting to learn
Right,
about music
right, totally.
because it can be a very valuable library tool.
Hmm.
But at the same time, my concern is that for songwriters, which I also do, um, people will people will start kind of getting lazy,
Sure.
have
Oh, for sure.
AI basically generate stuff for them, and then try to pass it off as their own.
Right.
And that is one of the worst things that you can do. It's kind of like an Olympic athlete that, makes it somewhere
Right.
and then they go to train for the next Olympics and then they kind of get lazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
you can tell that their form is off, and
Right.
people start saying, your best years are behind you.
Yep. Yep.
And in order to prove yourself, you have to work your way back.
Yeah.
And some people can never do it.
No. No.
I'm kind
Totally.
of concerned with songwriters and things following that pattern. I
I
know that
understand that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Ah, I know that I've experimented a little bit with it. Um, but in my case, number one, it has been purely for my own personal uses.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in a way, it's kind of therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been a natural lyricist,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I don't have ideas for the music on things.
Right.
So I have found a website called Producer AI
Okay.
that I have put some lyrics, on there and then had it generate music to kind of
Right.
give me an idea of things that I want to do, and I tweak it a little bit till it
Sure.
kind of fits where I'm wanting to go with it. And that's fine, but it's not anything that I would ever try to pass off as mine or, try to put out like on an album or something.
Right. Right.
Simply because I'm an old school musician. If I'm going to record something, I'm going to be the one that does the work because
Right.
it's kind of like the same reason why I would not dress up in a military uniform and claim to have served an award because I didn't. And let's face it, that's really damn
That's douchey.
disrespectful to
That's
somebody who has.
douchey. Yeah.
Right. So to me, in a weird way, it's kind of the same thing.
Right.
It'd be like trying to pass something off and somebody like Eddie Van Halen or Gene Simmons comes up to you,
Right.
oh, where'd you come up with that?
Right.
And then you have to cop to, well, I used AI. They're going to tell you, F off, man.
Right.
So,
No, I get you on that.
but
I've used it
yeah.
a little bit. I use it, I have good intentions on, using it and like using its idea on stuff, that it comes up with because a lot of shit has been really good. I have an
Hmm.
attention span like this big, usually, unfortunately, and I'm off
Oh,
doing
wow.
something different, multitasking and going around in a circle is what I'm doing, But it gives me good ideas. I haven't really used any of them. I've used some of the music ones to make up a theme song for the show, see what it could come up with, and it wasn't
Sure.
anything that was. It was cool, but it not what I'd want, I know, and it just so
Sure.
it's interesting, though. It is interesting. It did write me a thing. I'm doing an Aussie tribute show at some point. I've got a couple things done on it. And it wrote me the
Oh,
best
that's cool.
thing I've ever read in my life. It was like, holy shit! I think
Wow.
I'm gonna get a message from Sharon saying something nice about it. That's how good it was.
Hey, that'd be
But
cool, man.
it's interesting. I'm still unsure of it because I've seen the Terminator movies. I know how it's going to end.
Well, and even before that, if you look in the realms of literature, Isaac Asimov, I think, was the first one that really started messing with it back in like
Right,
the 30s, 40s, even the
right,
50s.
right.
Because he wrote all of those books about robots
Oh
and
yeah,
empire. And
oh yeah.
if you ever saw that movie I, Robot, that was based off loosely
Well,
off of one of his books where they
right,
came up
right,
with the laws of robotics and all that stuff.
right, right.
So yeah, I mean it's interesting to see how the world is progressing into some of these veins, but
Oh
at the
yeah,
same time, you got to really be careful because if we don't learn from it and if we don't put certain things in place,
right.
it's going to be a fine line between like Red Dwarf, where you're able to kind of control
Right,
the
right,
robots and
right,
things with
exactly.
with the concept of silicon heaven and what have you,
Right,
or waking up one morning and next thing you know, it's the Age of Ultron from Marvel.
right, 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 exactly,
So
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I plan on contributing to that because I have Kiss's hair coming to me when my friend's mom dies. And I've had the same dream for 40 years of knowing about this hair as I'm cloning it and making my own Kiss Army.
Oh, that's cool.
I think so.
I used to have hair kind of that would make Kiss proud, and now they look at me and they wonder where it all went.
Yeah.
So I've got
Mine's just
you
all
can't
gone
see it
gray.
on the camera right now, but I've got this kind of almost like a Friar Tuck thing starting
Nice.
back here.
Nice.
And yeah. If I were to ever be cast in a movie as a monk, all I'd have to do is just kind of shave this part right here,
Right.
and I'd be set.
Set.
You know.
Right on, right on.
So yeah,
Um, so,
yeah. So it's
is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
you can point in any direction, and I'm willing to talk about anything. I'm pretty
Who
much
is
an open book as far as my life goes.
who is your favorite band back in the 80s?
Uh, well, for the longest time, my favorite band has been the Tubes.
Okay.
Like I said, I've seen them 3 times in concert. I've gotten to actually meet the band at a
That's
couple of
cool.
different points. Got
That's
to meet
cool.
Rick Anderson before he passed away.
Right.
Uh, his loss was big because I mean, people don't realize just how smooth of a bass player he
Mm-hmm.
was.
Mm-hmm.
He had some of the sickest rock grooves
He
ever
did.
when it came to the bass.
He did.
You know, everybody can talk about, oh, Geddy Lee or Sting or
Right.
whoever. Rick Anderson earned his
Right.
spot up there.
Right
And
on.
I wish more people knew about how he did things.
Right on.
But yeah, some of the other groups that I listened to back in the day, most of which I still do, if I come
Mm-hmm.
across them. Um, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, she
I just
she
went and
is
saw
my
her. I saw
celebrity
her a
music
couple
crush.
months ago. I saw her a couple
Yeah,
months ago. She was
I
excellent
got to
with Billy Idol.
I got to see her. Yeah, I got to see her a little after my birthday, which is in July.
Right.
Only took 42 years to see her.
Right.
So,
I know that was the first time I'd ever seen her. I've loved her forever too.
right?
She's a female guitar player. They're smooth. They're
Oh yeah,
cool. They're much better to look at than male guitar players. In a
right?
sense. But
Yeah,
she's
definitely.
just always been cool. She's always been cool.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest things I admire her for
Mhm.
is when I lived up north in a little town called Oroville
Okay, I
back in the
know
early
her.
2000s. Um, oh, okay, yeah. Well, then you know that it's one of those places you look at it on a map and you think a fly did it or something.
Right, right.
But I was watching because I occasionally watch Cold Case Files,
Hmm.
and I learned about a singer named Mia Zapata that had been killed and her case went cold. Nobody knew what had happened, and they were about ready to close it out. She was a lead singer for a band called the Gits.
Hmm.
Um, Somehow the story got to Joan Jett, and Joan actually contributed money out of her pocket
Wow.
to help kickstart the investigation up again. They ultimately ended up catching the guy, and she actually went and learned some of the songs with the Gits, and they learned some of her songs, and they did a joint show
That's
together
cool.
to help,
That's cool.
yeah, to help raise money for her family or whatever,
Right on.
funeral expenses and whatnot. And that's something I've always respected about
Totally.
her,
Oh,
and
totally.
I've respected about any musician that would do something like
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. Yeah, that's
Um,
neat.
yeah, other groups that I saw Billy Idol about 10 years ago here in Fresno, and I mean, he was
I
he's
had
still happy, man.
I was watching him and I get this weird mood and I didn't get stoned at all that day or nothing like that.
Right?
I get this like weird fucking deja vu feeling almost, kind of it was just this weird surreal feeling. And I look
Yeah.
at him up there on stage and I thought it was Elvis. He was just like Elvis up there in a sense. I got this weird fucking thing. I was like
Okay.
going, what the hell is going on around here? It was kind of funny, but it was weird. It was
Okay.
weird.
I guess in a way I could kind of see it just because of the stage presence
Hmm.
itself.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's something that is huge.
yeah.
If somebody has I mean, you could be the most talented singer, the most talented
Hmm.
player, whatever, but if you have the stage presence that would shame a dirty diaper, I mean,
Right,
come on now.
right.
Nobody's going to pay
I
attention. And Billy's one of those guys that just gets out there. He
Yeah.
doesn't even have to get down in the audience, and
No.
he just draws you in.
Yep.
And that is one of the biggest, that's one of the biggest things you can have is
Oh yeah.
charisma,
Yeah.
you know? And if you know how to work your charisma, you know how to work that charm, sex appeal, whatever it is that you
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because some people have charm, some people have charisma, some
Right.
people have sex appeal, and there's whatever it is that I have.
Right.
You,
I
but
get
if
what
you
you're
know how to
saying.
work it, whatever it
Oh
is,
yeah. If you know how to
you
work it,
know,
you
I
got the
mean,
world.
you will draw in a crowd, and any
Yep.
good act sells.
Yep. I took a friend of
And
mine to the Kiss concert in 2019, I believe. And
okay,
they were nosebleed seats, way up on the side
right.
of the from down below. And there's people dragging oxygen up there in the nosebleed. And my buddy's just amazed. It was his first concert he ever been to, and he's like 5 years older than me or so now. And I took him to a Kiss concert, and he was like a little kid. I'm telling you, he was just like,
Oh
wow,
wow.
And then boom,
Yep.
the drums were right by us, the big explosion things, and it was crazy. But people are dragging up oxygen up there. I said, see, that's hardcore. I told them,
Uh-huh.
I said, that's hardcore. Those are Kiss fans, you know.
First concert that I ever got to take my current wife to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my second and final marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, her birthday's in October, and the Scorpions were on their farewell tour,
Nice.
right?
Nice.
So they came to Fresno, and it was something that she had wanted to do. Her mom was complaining, "You're not going to spend money on that crap," because mom's been bitter ever since she had the chance to go see Elvis, and she decided money was more important. Elvis died before she had the chance, so she's been, kind of dragging that millstone around her neck ever since. And I
Right.
love my mother-in-law to death, but so she'd been hinting around about this, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger and got the tickets for us.
Right.
Took her to go see the Scorpions. First time either one of us had ever seen them. Once in a lifetime
Were they
deal.
good?
And yeah, they were still pretty good. I
Right
mean,
on.
Klaus, you can tell his voice is
Right.
kind of worn down,
Right.
because he's like somewhere between 60 and 100 years old.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. I
but
know.
he still, when he did hit it, he was able to still kind of do it
Right on.
for a good part of it. Um, and then she and I went and saw Anvil the second time they came to town about a week before my birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and she described the same thing. She got to see that childlike joy that comes out of me when I'm really happy or really excited about something. And to this day, if you were to ask her, she would tell you that, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with him, because he just gets this, he becomes childlike again, and every time I see it, it lightens my
That's what
heart,
it's
and I'm
about.
like,
That's what it's about,
yeah,
for sure. For sure.
exactly. And I'm very fortunate to have a wife that supports my vision, my career,
Right.
and I mean, that's really important.
Oh,
My
definitely.
first
Most
marriage,
definitely.
my first marriage was so vastly different because my ex-wife, she was in love with the concept of
Concept.
being with a
Right.
musician, but
Right.
she didn't love the reality of it. She
Right.
didn't love the
Right.
fact that I had to put in all of this practice.
Right.
And she was there were a lot of things that turned out
Right.
that she was that I won't list here.
Right.
But one of them was that she was insanely jealous.
Uh huh.
She was very possessive. Anytime that she went to one of my shows, which
Right.
wasn't all that often, she would try to follow me into the bathroom because she was convinced I was trying to hook up with somebody in the audience or a bartender or something like that.
Right.
I went to the bathroom to freshen up, to change my clothing,
Mm-hmm.
because I only had 15 minutes in between sets. What the
Right.
hell are you going to do in 15 minutes,
Right. Right.
So, I mean, to one point, she actually tried to follow me into the bathroom, and she was stopped. So she sat there kind of fuming outside.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was almost asked by security to leave.
Wow.
And I'm so thankful I don't have to deal with something like
Right.
that anymore, because my wife at one point had done some singing with a band. So
Mm-hmm.
she understands the work that's
The
put
real.
into it
Right.
and the lifestyle.
Right.
And she comes and supports, however she can, when
Mm-hmm.
she can do it. And I'm very thankful to have someone in my life that understands all of that.
Right. Right.
And
That's
not only
cool.
does my wife understand it, but I also have two daughters,
Mm-hmm.
both of whom are grown. My younger daughter, who is my biological daughter that I finished raising after the divorce,
Mm-hmm.
um, has gotten to see, the different bands that I've played with.
Right.
And it's wonderful for me to show her that I can be a role model to her.
Exactly.
And then my older daughter has only seen me once or twice. I adopted her after I married my current wife,
Mm-hmm.
but she also gets a chance to see, what the old man can do.
Right. Right.
And a lot of people don't realize, because one thing that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that I'm an amputee.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's a fair number of musicians that are amputees out there, but not too many of them make it big. And the only two
Right.
that I know of that have
Rick Allen
are
is
both
one. You know.
Rick Allen's one
Right.
from Def Leppard,
Right.
and then actually before him, there used to be a group in the 60s that's jokingly called the first heavy metal band, called the Barbarians.
Okay.
Their drummer's
I've
name
never
was
heard of
Victor
them.
Moulton, and he was known as Molty, and they actually
Okay.
wrote a song about him. He lost, I forget if it was one or both of his hands.
Oh wow.
So he has like those old school claw
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh yeah.
attachments. But I guess, he's in his 70s and he's still able to drum somewhat with
Wow. That's
these
cool.
the
That's
hand
cool.
things.
Right
So
on.
yeah, I mean, and it also goes to show that no matter what you go through in life,
Mm-hmm.
you can have something big really, really work you over,
Mm-hmm.
and you can lose things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the only one who can really stop you from achieving what you want to achieve
Is yourself.
is yourself.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
I go
when it,
mental over this podcast thing 10
Mhm.
times a day. I go absolutely bonkers nuts, because I'm trying to figure it all out on my own, and I try to get help too, advice and stuff, but there's nobody really around
Right.
my area doing it, so I don't really have anybody to necessarily get advice from it. But I've been plugging along, so far, and I've been extremely blessed with some really great guests, that's been a big help too,
Right.
gotten really lucky
Yeah,
with
and
some
it's
of them, and
right.
my buddy was on the one that I'm editing right now. I had a buddy up
Hmm.
here because he lives out near. There's a place called Hamlet Route where he lives, and so I had him come
Okay.
on since I was interviewing Scattered Hamlet, just as a
Right.
joke type thing. But I told him about this band 2 weeks ago. Well, 3 weeks ago now. I said you got to listen to these guys, and they become my new entrance music, my new theme music, totally.
Nice.
These guys have, and he goes, and he was kind of, I don't know, he was impressed, I think, but he was just like kind of blown away that this old dude from Warrenton, Oregon, talking about
Hmm.
this band, and then 2 weeks later he's talking to him, and
Huh.
he was kind of like weirded out by it. I could tell. I said, but I said all it is I'm getting lucky. I'm basically trolling Facebook. That's what I do. It's
Okay.
just troll and anybody who's playing an instrument or something. Because yeah, it'd be great to have some big, huge bands come on my show and I get to talk to them. That's awesome. But there's
Right.
so many other bands out there that rock just as good as some of these other ones out there.
Damn
Scattered
straight.
Hamlet's one, and I've never heard of them before. And I stay pretty in tune with the rock scene, but it's
Yeah.
obviously the rock scene that they're wanting me to see. This way, I'm
Well,
finding phenomenal bands out there. Just hey, I want you on my show.
okay. Here's a question for you.
Hmm.
You said you were in where? Morgan?
Warrenton, right by Astoria,
Morton.
Oregon, where the mouth of the Columbia is, Columbia River,
Okay.
right on the coast.
All right. You ever heard of a town called Reedsport?
Oh yeah, that's south. That's south of me.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Strange Brew Band?
No, I'm not. No.
The Strange Brew Band is a band that's out of Reedsport,
Okay.
and it's they used to be either a quartet or quintet. They're now working as a trio,
Okay.
and the leader of that band, his name is Sean Grubb,
Okay.
my oldest and dearest friend. We met in fifth grade when we both lived in Utah,
Cool.
and we have been friends for over 40 years.
Right on.
Whereas I'm a rocker,
Right.
he's a blues man.
Okay. Okay.
And in fact,
Is, wonder if
if
he
you
knows about the Cascade Blues Association, if he's involved in that.
he probably does.
Okay.
I know that he's a very accomplished harmonica player. In
Okay.
fact, there was a documentary that came out a couple of years ago about an act called what is it called? I'm wanting to say it's called like Adam and Mr. Satan,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
Sean was actually mentioned in that documentary, and he has been acknowledged by some of the more accomplished blues
Oh,
harp
really?
players
Right
as
on.
being one of them. A guy named Adam Gossow, who taught, released some stuff on YouTube, teaching
Mm-hmm.
courses and things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, excuse me, is very good friends with Sean.
Right on.
If you ever get a chance, reach out to him. In fact,
Okay.
I can kind of introduce you if you'd like.
That'd be awesome.
Uh,
That'd be totally cool.
hook
Definitely.
hook you up with him, and
Definitely.
I'm sure he's got some stories that he could tell you
That'd
too,
be cool. That'd be
because
awesome.
he's yeah, like I say, he's very accomplished. He's gotten further in his recognition than I have, but he's humble enough that
Right.
in addition to that, he's also done the one man band act.
Right on. Right
And
on.
actually, I'm going to plug him real quick here.
Okay.
If you get a chance, go onto YouTube and uh, look up. I'm not sure if he's listed under Grubby or Sean Grubb or One Man Band, but he has a song that he does called "It's for Your Own Good."
Okay.
And out of the one man band stuff that he's done to this day, it remains my favorite song that he did.
Okay. I'll
One
check
time
that
when
out.
he was visiting me here in Fresno, we were actually down in the Tower District.
Mm-hmm.
We were outside of a coffee shop, and he and I actually started busking a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually kind of drew a small crowd before I had to leave to go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But he stuck around there, and I mean, Sean is just he's my brother from another mother. I
Right.
love him
Right
dearly,
on. Right on.
and I think you would really enjoy
Oh,
talking to him.
definitely. Most definitely. Yeah, I just had my two guests ago. I had the president of the Cascade Blues Association on here, and on my
Okay.
show, and had the kid come on too, and basically he's going to make sure the kid in Alabama gets to see Paul Gilbert this year in concert over there.
Nice.
So, which is cool. Which is he'll probably get to meet him. The kid will, I'm sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Which would be really cool. Yeah, this. So Timmer Blakely is his name. The guy I had on my show.
I've seen the name floating around.
Timmer's cool dude. He's a really cool dude for sure.
Nice.
So, but that's what it's
Excellent.
about to me. I love seeing kids. Especially talented kids. Who this kid's got
Oh
it. I
yeah.
know that. I will plug him every chance I get. For whatever he's doing.
I'll tell you what, man. One of the biggest thrills that I think any of us with an appreciation for music can ever see is that moment when a young child either meets somebody in music or they hear something for the first time,
Right.
and you see that light
Yeah.
turn
Yeah.
on in their
Exactly.
eyes.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
like one of the
It's a.
purest forms of joy
It is.
that
It
I
is.
think anybody
It is.
could ever witness. And if you don't get a chance to witness it in your lifetime, then
Right.
It's really something that you miss out on because
Definitely.
it's a
Definitely.
beautiful moment,
Oh
and it
man.
can be used as a teaching moment too.
Exactly.
That's how
Exactly.
I have always felt and will continue to for however long I happen to be on this
Hmm.
planet. Music is one of the only universal languages that we have that even if we don't understand anything else about the next person next to
Hmm.
us, music can be used to convey
Oh yeah.
whatever it is that anybody's feeling.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. For sure. It's what makes
Damn
my
straight.
world go round. I know that. I've always had this. I wanted to be in music. I wanted to be a rock star and all that. But I'm a lazy fucker too. I didn't want to learn how to play guitar. I had nice guitars, but I didn't want to
Yeah.
learn. And I kick my butt for it now. But it's it's just I've always everything has a soundtrack, or a playlist going on. Every little situation I've had, I've got the right music for it. It
There you
seems,
go.
that's constantly playing in my head.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm trying to just bring music to others. When I lived in Sandpoint, they had these Two Broke to Rock shows out of Spokane, and they were free shows, and they did like over 50 of them. And nobody in the
Right.
world has done that, anywhere, it seems. A constant, continuous stream of these concerts, and they were all free. You had to meet the swag wagon, or you'd call in and win them the tickets or something. But
Huh.
I've seen some of the most amazing bands that way, and most of them have been the local bands. They aren't big, they're just still plugging away is what they're doing,
Right.
and amazing band music out there, and if I can
Oh
give
yeah.
them a couple more people to listen to, that's what I'm trying to do, trying to bring some music up here on the coast, some shows on a regular basis, because it's perfect area for it, so, and I can't afford to go to Portland and see a show all the time. That's for sure.
Right.
It's
I hear that.
they're expensive. They're spendy.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be.
Yeah. So.
And yeah, that's why in addition to, uh, telling people to support local music,
Mhm.
my thing is yeah, go ahead and support local music, but make sure to spread it around.
That's right.
It's
That's
okay
right.
to like certain
Right.
bands,
Right. But
but
don't put all your
sooner or
ducats in
later,
their basket. Because
exactly. And that's part of the problem down here in Fresno because we're such a saturated market. We have so many bands that are trying to do things. The problem is there are certain problems. Number one, most of the bands around here play the same damn music.
right.
You take any 10 cover bands or tribute bands or whatever, unless they're specifically dedicated to a particular band,
Right.
which we have quite a few of those down here too.
Right.
You take most any 10 cover bands and you put their song rosters next to each other. I
Hmm.
guarantee you at least 50 to 65% of those songs are going to be the same damn shit.
Right. Right.
And you'll go anywhere in Fresno, see 3 or 4 bands playing. You'll walk in, if they're the same style of music,
They're playing the
you're going to
same
hear
thing.
some of the same stuff, and it's going to
Right.
be like,
Right.
oh my God, I just didn't we just hear this at the other place that we left,
Right.
And
Right.
that band did it better too. So
Right.
that's
Right.
part of why the band that I'm currently in that I put together is different. That's part of what makes us different is we cover a lot of the same artists,
Just not the same
but we
songs.
don't cover the same damn crap that you
Right.
can catch on the radio,
Right.
which let's face it, you get enough bands playing the same stuff that you're going to find on the radio. What's to stop the venue owners from just cutting out live music and bringing in a DJ that does the
Exactly.
same thing?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
the other
Exactly.
part of it is the bookers down here. I've had at least 3 of them admit that they're lazy. They
Hmm.
basically just recycle the same bands because they don't want to do paperwork for
Right.
whatever reason,
Right.
and then places that are actually willing to give people a shot because I've had to chase some of these venues down for over a year,
Right.
and some of the ones when they're finally ready to give us a shot, they're still trying to pay us like we're in 1981.
Right.
you know
Right.
you gotta, okay, yeah, we want a 3-hour act from you. We want a 3-hour show. We'll provide the PA and everything, but we want to pay you $200. if you've got four people in the band, that's $50 a man. You
Right.
break that down
Right.
by like hourly wages. If we were doing it hourly wages, that's less than minimum wage.
Hmm.
It's like, no, thank you.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and then we as musicians, we're supposed to act like, oh, we're thankful to just have the chance to play.
Hmm.
I've had farts that have paid out more than that.
Right. Right.
And I mean, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but I'm going to call a club here. You know, if you want good quality entertainment like people are looking for,
Hmm.
two rules of thumb. One, you have to diversify your sound. You can't just keep recycling the same old
Right.
crap because
Right.
let's face it, how many times can you hear freaking Bon Jovi? How many times
Exactly.
can you hear Led
Exactly.
Zeppelin? I mean, unless you're a diehard
Right.
fan
Right.
and
My thing
you're
is, I
gonna
hate
lynch me
hearing
because I
stuff
don't
on the
do that.
radio. I love radio, but I don't like hearing the same thing every hour. That's on the radio.
Exactly.
I can't stand it. Five Finger Death Punch,
Yeah,
great band. It's like I hear them on the radio and I cringe now because they write everything for the radio. It seems like now,
right.
which sucks. But I
Yeah,
get
and the thing
that.
about it is I've been to concerts and local things and jam sessions and what have you, and I'll hear people out in the audience. I'll be sitting there and I'll just be listening. I'll hear people go, God, they're gonna play frickin' Honky Tonk Woman again.
Right.
Can't they do something different?
Right.
I've heard, I really wish that somebody would do this or do that.
Right.
And see, part of the reason why I quit showing up to those jam sessions is because I'm the guy that would challenge the
Right.
other musicians.
Right.
Let's do this. Let's try
Right.
that. And they'd be, well, we just want to do what we like.
Right.
And it's like, well, okay. But
Yeah.
then people show up to a Skeleton Crew gig, which is my
Hmm.
band,
Right.
and they hear the stuff that we play, and we'll have people in between sets or after the show coming up to us. Where the hell did you find that?
Right
Do you know
on.
how long I've been waiting to hear that song? I haven't heard that in 40 years.
Right. Right.
And we get a lot of kudos for that.
That's cool. Hell yeah.
So yeah, as a matter of fact, our next show is going to be held at Sequoia Brewing Company, Tower District location here in Central Fresno.
Okay.
And, we're looking forward to it because this is a place that I've been trying to get into for years.
Mm-hmm.
They were Sequoia Brewing shut down their locations for a number of months, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody thought it was, that place was over.
Right.
And then they reopened a few months ago, and it feels like now things are finally starting to line up in
Right
different
on.
places because now the bookers are starting to learn, hey, there's a lot of bands out here, and yeah, we have certain bands that draw, but now they're demanding more money, so why don't we give some of these other guys over here a shot?
Right.
And I think
Exactly.
they're going to find out that the trend is going to shift a little bit and that people are looking for something other than just same old, same old.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
The other thing about it is that if you want acts that are going to draw people in and make your business profitable, you have to be willing to bump your prices up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, for
I mean,
sure.
I'm sorry, but paying a band in beer, there's a place in town that prefers to pay their bands in beer.
Oh, I
And I
bet.
refuse to ever perform there ever
Right.
again. I was in a band 15 years ago that we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was the one guy in the band who didn't drink beer.
Right. Right.
I
So
didn't drink
you're
anything.
fucked.
So yeah, so it did absolutely nothing for me. We
Right.
put on a $500 show and they wanted to pay us like $350 in beer. I was like, sorry, don't work. Mm-mm.
Yeah. That don't work.
So,
Definitely.
but yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not the '80s anymore. As much as I hate to say that,
I
because
know. I hate
that
it
was
too.
my era. That
Yep.
was the best decade to be
Yep.
alive.
It was.
But
It was.
it's 2026 now. You got to start paying 2026 prices
Yep. You
if
do.
you want your play. If you want the music scene to survive.
Right. Right.
And the third note I would give is that there are certain musicians. I don't know if you got it up there in Oregon, but down here there are certain musicians that think that, oh, well, if I stick myself in a dozen bands, I could suck up every dime that isn't nailed down, and everybody has to kiss my ass if they want a shot to play. They
Right.
start using what I call the cockroach mentality, which is overwhelm something in order to take it over.
Right, right.
Basically you take one band, you switch out a couple of members, but keep three core members.
Hmm.
It's another band entirely. Then you take out another member or two, and that's how they do it.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but those kind of people don't get a lot of respect either. Now,
No.
you'll never hear me knock anybody for musicianship,
Right.
because I know some guys down here that are brilliant musicians. Uh, one of which went on tour with Prince for one of his
Hmm.
tours.
Hmm.
And you don't get that just by being mediocre.
No, not
So
at
I'm
all.
not ever going to knock somebody for their ability. What I'm going to knock them for is the fact that they are world-class assholes and
Hmm.
egotists.
Yeah, yeah.
And uh, if you have me back at some point, I'll share a story with you about how some of that came about,
Hmm.
and how I ended up kind of becoming a target for some of these people. I'm
Sure.
not going to go into that right now,
Right.
but
No, well, you're
uh,
definitely welcome on the show
people,
anytime, for sure.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, people need to learn to leave their egos at the door.
They do.
They need to learn to diversify their sound, and the venue owners need to step their game up a little bit
Right.
in order to make things mutual. But
Right.
that's just my 2 cents, and
Right.
who gives a damn what I think? So,
I get what you're saying. I totally. It's like the difference between David Lee Roth Van Halen and Sammy Hagar Van Halen. You know,
yes, Van Halen and Van
David Lee
Hagar.
Roth Van Halen was better on record, for sure. I
Yep.
think. But
Hmm.
going to a show, Sammy all the way. Sammy
Yep.
was amazing. I saw Alice in Chains open for him, and Eddie comes out and plays Man in the Box for like 20 minutes with Jerry from Alice in
Oh,
Chains,
damn.
and it was like the most mind blowing thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so good. It was
Now,
really
out of
cool.
all three of those acts, we actually cover one song from each of them.
Right on.
Alice in Chains. We don't do Man in the Box, but we do Rooster.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
That's a good
actually
one.
use my keyboard, a guitar patch on my keyboard to help fill in the sounds
Sure.
while our guitarist and bass, do their thing.
That's cool. That's
Um,
cool.
Van Hagar, we do Finish What You Started,
That's a great one.
which my guitar player ever said, he says, "You ever say that that's my favorite song again, I'm going to kill you for it." So now I say it's his second favorite song. And then Sammy Hagar solo, we actually cover the song he did for the heavy metal soundtrack, which
Nice.
was heavy metal.
Nice. That's an awesome tune.
So
That's a
yeah.
great era. That was a great era of rock and roll right there.
Oh man, it was right when the explosion started, man.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was a thing of beauty.
It was. It was
So
excellent. It was excellent. Definitely.
yeah. I wish there was a way that we could go back and have some of these newer groups rediscover some of that stuff.
Right.
Groups like Airborne, groups like Dirty Honey.
Right.
You know, if people were to go back, listen to those and find a way to reinterpret them in a modern fashion,
Right.
I
Right.
think we could have a new renaissance of rock music and things like that, and it would
Exactly.
become enjoyable again.
Oh yeah. Exactly. For sure. Because there's
That's
there's
why
some good.
so many people, each generation, it's like, well, I'm not listening to that shit because it doesn't sound like the Beatles. Well, I don't listen to that shit because it's not Led Zeppelin. I
Right.
don't listen to that shit because it's this, or
Right.
or whatever.
Right. Oh yeah.
Each generation is going to have something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And for once, I would like to hear somebody, yeah, I listen to that because it sounds like the Doors. Yeah,
Right.
I listen to that because it sounds like Eric Clapton. Yeah, I listen to that because it sounds like the Police, that kind of thing. I would
Right.
love to hear something like that. So,
Right on. Oh no, it's still recording. I thought my thing stopped recording. It got smaller. My screen thing got smaller, and it's still recording though. Okay, I'm
huh,
good. Never
okay.
mind. Little minor hiccups, but well, heck, it was good having you on today.
Well, thank you. I
Definitely,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. We'll definitely you're welcome on anytime you want. We got to get
Okay.
Kim on here now. She said she was
Yeah,
nervous
definitely.
about it a little bit. I said, we just bullshit. That's all we do is bullshit on here. you know,
And you know what? I think that's some of the most fun interviews
it
doing
is.
is
It
when you're
is.
just able to just sit around and throw it out there and see
Right.
what sticks.
Exactly. Exactly. So I appreciate it, Wayne. We will talk again soon. Thanks
Sounds
for being
good to
on.
me.
You have a great day.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, let me know when this is coming out
I
because I've got
will.
a lot
I'm
of people
hoping.
that are interested.
I'm. I got to finish the Scattered Hamlet one because that's the one I'm late. I had bad sound problems with it, and it's just been hell trying to get it semi tolerable. Even.
Uh-huh.
But I got to get it out, and that's hopefully going to be out today. Is what I'm
Okay.
hoping for. So I will probably have you out probably Saturday or
Okay.
Sunday. Because
Yeah, just send me
I'm
the
just kind of
info and
flooding
I'll.
stuff as I get stuff done. I'm just putting it out there because it's easier right now. It gets a little more
Okay.
exposure that way. So
Yeah,
I'm
just
figuring
send
Saturday
me
or
the
Sunday.
info when you
I
have
will.
it, and I'll make sure to
I
plug it
shall.
all over my social
I
media.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, you
Thank you
bet.
very much. You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Have a good day. Bye.
Take care.
Yep.